Hello and welcome back to the Chap's Guide. I'm Ash, your curator at this channel, and you join me today on the banks of the Thames in sunny London on a rare, lovely warm day in January in the UK, which is wonderful.
It's not very warm, actually, if I'm honest.
No, it's not entirely warm. I'm joined today by long-time collaborator of the channel, a friend of mine, Dr. John Williams. And today we're going to talk about an unusual subject for a lifestyle channel, but it is certainly something which is important for all our lifestyles, and that is the management of stress in your lives, because all of us, I think, lead increasingly busy and busier lives. Whether you work all the time, whether you're retired, whether you're sort of generally busy, you will find yourself being placed under increasing stress, be that factors from work, be that factors from home. And the management of that stress certainly plays a part in your ability to be chap. So today we're just going to talk to you about how we manage stress, perhaps what stress is, and perhaps give you some ideas how you can ameliorate stress in your lives. So to start, I think I'll just talk about my stress, John. I mean, for me, stress comes in different ways. Stress comes from pressure of work and worry about, you know, the health of my family, the well-being of my family. I've got elderly parents, I've got young children, and all of these things lead to this little bundle of stress which we carry around all the time. And every so often, that stress gets a bit too much, and I know I need to do something to shift that balance. That's kind of how it works for me. What about you, John?
I think the most important thing, and we're only going to scratch on the surface with this today, is that first of all is defining what stress is. Stress can be a very good thing. I mean, certainly if you were in a fight or flight situation, or if you're about to give a presentation or something like that, a little bit of stress can heighten your sensitivities and your awareness, and it can be a good thing. What we're talking about here is usually that long-term chronic stress, the things that will start to wear you down. Good stress, we deal with it, we move on. It's only when it insidiously starts working its way into our lives where we're not realizing that we're stressed. And one of the big things is always work. One of the very valid things that was once said, that when you're about to have a breakdown, one of the profound things is that you believe that you're more needed in work than at any other time, and you're just adding and adding and adding to that stress. So it's all really about an awareness, in my opinion, of your stress and your stressors, and the difference between the good stress and the bad stress. It's really the most important starting point.
Yeah, so for me, how do I deal with stress? What's my little sort of mechanisms for overcoming it? Well, as John has said, you know, recognizing the stress is the key thing. When you realize that you're feeling a bit ill, or you're feeling, you know, there's some disruption to your life, you can't sleep particularly well, or you're sleeping too much, you're not eating correctly, or you're eating badly, these are the things which for me are the indicators that I'm feeling a bit stressed. And I've got some routes which I always take, which tends to help my equilibrium and get me back on side. So one of the age-old factors, and it might be the wrong way to do it, but for me, I like a bit of exercise, right? Because I know that if I do some exercise, I'm feeling down, my mood is dropped. I go out for a run, I go to the gym, I go for a long walk. Whatever you're able to do for exercise does, for me, it releases those endorphins in the mind, and it heightens my mood. And it's the beginning to overcome that situation where I'm feeling perhaps a little down, a little dark, and my life feels a little without colour. So for me, a little bit of exercise, you know, that little regime, you know, I know if I go for a run twice a week, that it keeps me on an equilibrium, and it keeps me fit and healthy as well, which is a side benefit. But of course, the fit and healthy in between my ears is the real important reason why I do it.
You don't have to be running to get a little bit of exercise, even just going out for a walk somewhere in nature. We're in the middle of London at the moment, as you can see behind us. We're in Victoria Tower Gardens at the moment. There's green everywhere, even in the city. Find a little where you can be able to have some nature around you. Just go for a walk. If you have some mobility issues, then just take it at your own pace. There's no target you've got to reach, but sometimes just going out and doing something is better than sitting and dwelling and thinking about it. Moving forward, you're still moving forward. As Winston Churchill said, when going through hell, keep going. Hopefully you're not going to be at the stage where you're going through hell at this point, but those little stresses can be relieved by very small actions, taking a bit of time for you, doing something a little bit selfish, something that you enjoy that's just for you, instead of constantly thinking about your family or work or other people.
Another thing which I find works for me, and it's been very successful for me actually, is volunteering. So I volunteer in all different routes. I help with the food charities. I'm a trustee with some charities, so I have got a light touch with those charities, but other charities I've been sort of volunteer caseworkers. And there is nothing like a boost to your self-esteem by helping somebody who needs your help. It really does boost you up and makes you feel more positive about yourself and gives you a positive outlook on life. So it doesn't matter what position you are, how down you feel, you've got something positive to give and contribute to somebody else. Find that little avenue that you can help. It might just be going to help in the food bank once a week. It might be volunteering in some other way. It could be helping a children's cricket team, coaching them. You've got a unique skill that you can help other people benefit their lives, and in doing that, you will significantly boost your own situation.
It's important, however, to remember that the one thing you don't want to be doing is masking your stress, masking your anxiety, which can then lead on to other things such as depression. Be honest with yourself. Be aware of the things that do make you stressed. Yes, there may be things you have to do, but there may be things you can do to mitigate or reduce the impact it has on you. But you've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to know what your triggers are, and these are things such as not sleeping very well, headaches all the time, constant stomach problems, the little small things that are bubbling along that you may attribute to something else, but the reality is that they're all warning signs that you are ignoring. And speaking to other people. If somebody says that you're a little different, that you're a little down, a little quiet, or maybe even a little louder than usual, then maybe it's worth listening and finding someone you can talk to, someone you trust, someone that you can have these conversations with. Because if you aren't going to speak about it, then that's exactly what your anxiety, stress and depression wants. All trauma hates exposure, and if you talk about it, then you're controlling it and it's not controlling you.
No, and I mean there's a big saying at the moment, isn't it? It's okay to say you're not okay. And I think that's great. I mean, me and John, we share a profession. We share, a commonality when it comes to volunteering and the activities we undertake. We're here on business, talking to a couple of business partners today. And I know that I can share the way I feel in my situation with John because he understands, because he does the same as me. We have that common understanding of each other. You should be able to find somebody that you can, reveal your situation to as well. Because when you tell it to somebody else, you lessen its grip over you. Just remember, it's okay to say you're not feeling okay. You don't have to lock it away in a cupboard and pretend it's not there. When you talk about something, you lessen its grip on you.
And if you're not comfortable talking about it with somebody that's close to a member of your family or a friend, if it's something that you feel that they wouldn't understand, or you just don't want to reveal about it, there's plenty of places that you can reach out to that are available to help you, counsellors or people who are prepared to listen to you. And if it gets so bad, even people like Samaritans, nobody's going to be strong all the time. And the only weak people are the people who pretend to be strong when they're not, because it's a lie to yourself and it's of no use to anybody else. I've had mental health problems myself in the past. I've suffered from depression and stress and anxiety to the extent that it had a profound effect on my life. For years I ignored it or tried to mitigate it or did all of the other things such as self-medicating through alcohol or something like that, not to a particularly profound extent, but certainly I wasn't doing myself any favours. And the reality is it's only when I had the wherewithal to have the honesty with myself and go and seek the correct help that things started to get better. And the best way I could ever describe things is it was like I had a great life, but it was like looking at a beautiful world through a dirty window. And I had the ability to open that window, but it started with that self-honesty and realising that I was actually going through that stress that I was denying. So that honesty is very much your starting point.
Yeah, there's peaks and troughs in everybody's life. If you're in a trough, well, sometimes I think to myself, if I'm in a trough, there's a peak coming up next. That's the only way I keep, you keep going forwards. You keep going forwards. So we've only scratched the surface of stresses and things like that, and we're conscious of that. We're not clinical psychologists. All we are chaps who like to share part of this journey with you. Because the Chap's Guide is not just about aftershaves and fine clothing, it's about being on a journey of self-improvement. So we hope that you've enjoyed this little chat we've had today. And if you want us to talk about other things, to share your journey with you, leave us a comment in the comment section and we'll come back to you and we'll try and do something positive about it in the future. If you want to support the channel, subscribe so that you get our future content, and click the little bell so that you don't miss any of the material we put out in the future. So I hope you've enjoyed this conversation today on stress and how we cope with it and our acceptance of it, and hopefully it's helped you. And we'll speak to you again very soon.